Hello, welcome once again to Lulu, the Pagan Teacher channel. In this video I want to talk about the lunar cycle of the moon. Now this isn't with my astrology hat on, this is very much with my witch hat on, my Wiccan hat, whatever kind of hat you want to call it. Alright, now the moon is so important to those who follow the pagan path. The material of what you are, what you want to call yourself, what name you've decided on, whether you're a witch, whether you're a Wicca, whatever, okay? It's fundamental to our day-to-day practice. Let's think about the moon for a second. We know that it has the power to control the tides. It has the power to elevate the water in our water table. Therefore, the power that we have available to us on a daily basis, depending on the cycle of the moon, to harness each day is tremendous, and to acknowledge its power. So that's why I want to start off purely by looking at that lunar cycle. Now, after this video, I'm going to do other videos. I'm going to do one where I link it more to the maiden mother crone, the warrior, the youth, the father and the sage. I'm going to link it more to do with that. I'm going to do another one where I'm really going to look at, as the moon passes through different signs of the zodiac, that we look at the elements and what spells, what type of elemental spells really correspond and suit the energy as it goes around. But to start with today, let's wrap our head around the moon. Okay, so the moon takes approximately 28 days to go into a full lunar cycle. Now, she starts off in her crescent form. So what we mean when we're talking about the energy of the moon and the moon becoming larger and then it decreasing, it's really tied in with what in the night sky we can see. Let's go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years where our belief system is rooted. Before we became too protected in houses and comfort, if you like, we were more in touch with the lunar cycle, with what was happening in the sky. Now, for the majority of people, I would say it's not often of an evening. They are aware of the size of the moon. Yes, all of a sudden they might look up and think, oh, that's a beautiful moon, oh, look, it's a full moon, or oh, look. And then there'll be lots of photographs of it and pictures will come up all over on Facebook and Instagram. But you know what? That moon, she's up there all the time. So when we first see a crescent moon, we call it a new moon, because for a little while she disappears completely and then she comes up with all of that promise of what's going to be happening in this next lunar cycle. It's exciting, isn't it? So a new moon is really when we set our intentions for that next lunar cycle. And this is another wonderful thing about us being pagans. Each month we have a chance to set a new intention. Whereas the majority of our mundane, our muggles if you like, they'll set their New Year's resolutions in January. Each month we get a chance to do that. Wow, isn't that fantastic? So we've got the new moon. This is when we can start new beginnings. I mean, we can start new things all the time, but what we're saying is the energy of the moon is pushing us. It's really positive. So it's like us swimming with the tide behind us pushing us along. It's natural energy, and if we can naturally harness the energy of the moon during the cycle, it means that we're not trying to battle upstream. Lots of water analogies there. Okay, so new moon, we set our intentions. So we think, okay, what do I want to achieve for the next lunar cycle? Yes, it is connected to our maiden goddesses, it's connected to our youth and our warrior, with our correspondences. But this is when we think, okay, what do I want to achieve? Maybe it's something that you didn't get around to achieving last year, something that you are working on, or maybe it's something new that you want to start. So if you're going to start anything new, let's look at that new moon, that crescent phase. Now, between the new moon and the full moon, as the new moon is gradually growing in strength, becoming larger to the visible eye, we call that the waxing moon. Now, it hasn't got anything to do with candle wax. It comes from the Old English, or actually the Middle English word waxen. Middle English is the language that we used here in this country just after 1066, when the Normans invaded, up until the 15th century, entered the Middle Ages, okay? And the word waxing meant growth. So between the new moon and the full moon, it's waxing, it's growing, it's gaining in energy. So therefore, anything that you are trying to do, anything that you want to achieve, you've got that pull of energy in front of you. Things are getting larger, things are expanding. Now, I don't like the word luck. I don't think there's anything. I don't believe in luck. What there are opportunities, and it's an opportunity that we have the wisdom, that we are waking up to see that opportunity and we take it. To me, that's what luck is, okay? So therefore, when this waxing moon is happening to the full moon, we have all of these opportunities in front of us. Our intentions that we set at the new moon are gaining in momentum, driving us, pulling us forward. Don't try and lose weight during the new moon, because it's just growth. So then we come up and the moon reach its pinnacle of energy during the full moon. Now the full moon is connected to the mother goddess, it's connected to the father and his aspect. What we are looking at, the full moon, it's when we can basically harness that energy for anything that we need to do below. Now, this is when we draw down the moon. This is one of the occasions where we can make moon water, and we'll look at that in another video. I'm sure lots of you are already making moon water out on a full moon. We have normally 13 full moons a year. This is why if you follow the Celtic tree calendar, it's a lunar calendar, because they based their calendar around the 13 moons and ascribed it to the different months, but that'll be another video, okay? So we have these 13 full moons. Each moon, when you look up, or if you're reading something, will be called something different. It could be called a hare moon, a barley moon, a pink moon, a wine moon, an oak moon, a storm moon. The list is endless. Why have we got all of these names? Because dependent on historically, if you were a Celt, if maybe you're a Wiccan, or what they call modern Wiccan, all these names and titles, we know what we are. We follow nature. If you belong to different North American tribes, whatever was happening and you was observing in nature is what you would call that moon. For example, I think it's the Algonquin tribe in North America. There was a tiny pink flower that came out at the time of their full moon, so they called it a pink moon. It makes sense. Over in the Celtics and other areas, if at that full moon, it was when the harvest came in, and the harvest was the barley, they would call it the barley moon. So really it's to do with historically and geography, why sometimes we have those different names. So that's what that means. So basically that full moon is when any time of spell weaving, magic work that you're doing, that's when you really want to harness that energy. The moon, remember, is feminine energy. The moon is feminine energy, the sun is masculine energy. That doesn't mean female, male. We all have feminine and we all have masculine energy inside of us. When we are using our feminine energy, it's when we are caring, it's when we are using our intuition, it's when we are using our psychic abilities. All of those things that we connect with the moon. When we're using our masculine energies, our solar energies, it's when we are taking control. What I'm doing now, I'm talking to you, that's a lot of masculine energy. So we're using both of those all during the day. During the full moon, that is when our feminine energy, feminine divine energy is our strongest. Okay, so that is our full moon. New moon, waxing, about 14.5 days, full moon. Then as the full moon starts to what we call wane, when we look in the sky, it looks less and less and less and less and less and less until we have those days where we can't see it as well. This is our waning. This is when, if there are things that we need to sort out and get rid of, you will see a lot of the time, especially when I'm writing my different things on Facebook or my Instagram, I will say this is the time when we need to get rid of things that no longer serve us. So what do I mean by that? Okay, I could mean something as mundane as maybe a toaster that keeps playing up. You keep hanging on to it and it's sort of getting on your nerves because you're used to it not working properly. No, get rid of it. During this wane, it's no longer serving its purpose. It's one of those little niggly things. Get rid of the toaster. It could be something a little bit more larger. Maybe it's a way of thinking that you've got into, a habit that you have formed. Use the waning moon energy to get rid of something, waning to get smaller, to decrease, to lessen that effect on you. Maybe it's a relationship that you are in. Maybe it's a job that you think, do you know, I've been doing this and doing this, it's really not the best for me. Use that waning moon energy to reach that decision. So when the new moon comes up, you can start looking for a new job. Can you see how we're getting that lunar cycle coming in? So the waning moon is very much when we are sorting through things, anything that we need to get rid of to make us happier in ourselves. Everything that I really do is based on becoming your authentic self. Doesn't that sound really American? My authentic self. Okay, what does authentic mean? Authentic means real. So being the real person who is really, really me. That's what we're talking about. And everything I think we do on our pagan path is leading us, especially those of you following a witch initiation or a witch classes or anything like that. What we are leading to, especially when we get into our second year, is looking at shadow work, really knowing ourselves. So therefore, anything that we can do which is going to bring us more in touch with ourselves, to empower us, to support us, to inspire us, to be the best that we possibly can be, not for our family, not for our boss or our children or our partner, but for ourselves. Anything that we can do is going to empower and be better for ourselves, that is going to serve us. That's what we want to do. So that waning moon energy, anything that is not serving that empowerment, that inspiration, that you reaching your real self, use that energy to get rid of it, because it will be easier. If you try and do it when the moon's waxing, it's going to be harder, because that's growth. Whereas the waning moon, it's when we are releasing, okay? Growing with the waxing, releasing with the waning, and off it goes. Bye-bye. Okay, so now down at the bottom, when the moon disappears from sight, this is what we call our dark moon phase. The dark moon phase is approximately 3 days before the new moon phase, so it's easy to work out. And if you see any diagrams of this lunar cycle, you'll have the full moon at the top and then it disappears. Well, I said that full moon was really, really strong. So is the dark moon. The dark moon is linked to our crone aspect of our triple goddess. It's linked to our sage. The dark moon energy, it's a serious energy. It's an intense energy. Some witches during the dark moon phase will not perform any type of magic. They use it more to contemplate. However, others do, because the energy is so intense at this time. And I really feel that anything on this pagan path, anything that I explain in any of my classes or on here, this is my interpretation of it. I'm not saying this is it, it's cast in stone, because to me that's the beauty of the pagan way. It isn't cast in stone. We are not orthodox. We haven't got these commandments that you've got to follow. You go with your energy and what feels right for you. So therefore, for me personally, the dark moon is a very strong energy, especially if you're connecting with that crone sage aspect. It's really a time, we've said about waning and getting rid of things that no longer serve us. That dark moon energy is for really looking deep within ourselves and thinking maybe of long-term things. Getting to grips maybe with grief. If grief has been overpowering you, because our crone and our sage, they help us in that transition. So that's what I'm saying. It's still part of that waning cycle, but it's deeper. It's really looking at things that may be toxic relationships with more intensity there. There are other things as well with the dark moon, and when we look in the video where I'm connecting the moon cycles with the triple goddess, I will explain that in more time there. Lots of the time the dark moon and the new moon are linked together. No, because the energy is different. A dark moon energy is the crone goddess. A new moon energy is a new beginning. It's our maiden goddess. So I hope that's given you a better understanding, really, if you are new to this pathway, of what we mean by a lunar cycle, what we mean by a new moon and a full moon, waxing and waning, a dark moon, that terminology really. In the next videos that I do, we're going to be building upon this. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, ring a bell, there's a bell somewhere. There's also on the video, probably, where am I pointing here, a little flashy thing. You can click on that to subscribe as well. I've included an email which is specifically for people for YouTube if you've got any questions. I will be doing in January a series of workshops. I've got a workshop for the new moon, which is the 13th of January. It's the first new moon of the year. Wow. So I'll be recording that and doing an information pack. So if you want to be part of that, if you email me, I'll give you the details and how to pay for that. It's only £10, so it's not, exorbitant or anything. And then in February, I'm doing a moon workshop. One of my workshops happen here in my lovely Lulu's lodge. So again, that will be recorded and that will be going out. The workshop will be about £20. But if you email me, I can give you full details. If you also email me, I can send you my monthly newsletter. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's made it a little bit clearer. Look out for the other moon videos that I'm doing. Blessed be.